what does Kelly, Dane, and Nat Young all have in common? It's the fact that they have all ridden in Buell Wetsuits in the last 2 years.
But before we get to that, we keep it real here at Green Room. We made some sweet shirts. We're calling the shirts Dad Stoke, and we have such fun, cool sayings.
Dad's Barrel Buddy.
These are super cool. You should buy them and help support the channel. So check out our first drop here. There's even a special edition Green Room Surf Review shirt that will be available for a limited time. Thanks for the support, and as always, we'll see you in the water.
Gosh, I think I was the first one to actually take the plunge initially. Things that they're becoming known for is making fun suits. They have fun prints, fun designs. They make kid sizes. They're not like your conventional standard black suit, but they also branch off into a more eclectic, fun.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, surfing's fun and wetsuits can be fun too.
So Steven and I got the RB1 Accelerator 4.3 full suit men's JOB black acid wash wetsuit.
Dang, that sounds radical.
I think the big things to focus on for the RB1, triple glued and blind stitch seams is huge. Yeah. And you kind of have that unique over the top chest zip entry. By the way, I love that. Like that's a throwback to the like original chest zips, you know, that were coming out 15 years ago. Yeah. And when you pull that flap off, it's a different feeling than always having it attached to the shoulder. On the warm days, you know, you can unzip and pop the hatch when you're out the back. And I think that's cool and unique. I think it could be designed a little bit better, but I loved it because both shoulders are free. I would love to see like improvement on the current line. So it's advertised as the lightest suit. It does have the micro fur barrier through the chest and legs. It is triple glued and blind stitch seams, internal soft seam tape, special blend neoprene like Daniel was saying. It's got some cool branding. We've been using these suits up in like central and northern California where the water typically does not get warmer than 60 degrees if we're lucky. It usually averages like 55 and closer to 50 throughout most of the year.
We are in cold, frigid water most of the year.
All right, we'll tee it up. So on wetsuits, we rate them on performance, warmth, and value.
I'm going to go 3. And the reason why is I feel like it's just a little tight. Like it's a warm suit, but when I go to paddle or when I'm moving around, it does feel like it's a little tight. It's not as flexible as I would like. And I know this because I've tested 2 wetsuits back to back same day. And the other 4.3 was an O'Neill and it was way more flexible in the shoulder arm region. And then, you know, just when you have less flexibility, there's more resistance. And I feel like when you're not surfing as much or you're a surf dad and you surf maybe once a week, your surf stamina is low. And I need all the help I can get. And I feel like I'm doing a workout at the same time as just trying to like move my arms. So
I will go with a 4 out of 5. I actually do like the neck flap. It's a little hard. It's a little weird and hard to get in and out of the suit, but because the neck flap is in the middle, both shoulders are free for paddling, which is nice. I find that in my rip curl, there's double layer on one arm and not the other. So one arm is incredibly free and the other arm is a little bit limited. But the Buell suit in general, because it is a 4.3 and it's not like one of those like really flexible 4.3s, and I move slower in the water in general. Like like rip curl or some of the other high-end suits, the whole thing is like as flexible as it can be. And I felt like parts of the suit were pretty flexible and other parts were stiff. On balance, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
What say you?
So my rating is 3 out of 5. A couple things stood out to me that I didn't like. One was the neck area, like not the flap that pulls over, but the inner neck area. Again, in theory, it's a good idea. It was sewn so that it doesn't rip. And sometimes that happens on other suits, like when you wiggle in and out, like there's a little tear that just gets bigger and bigger. So they doubled down on the sewing, but the downside of that is it's like super restrictive when you get in and out. So I don't know, that didn't feel great.
on my soft skin, it didn't feel good.
Well, it felt like I was gonna rip it when I was putting the suit on. So I don't know, I wasn't a fan there. You okay, Steve?
I was trying to swipe down that Warriors or in a nail biter, I guess, with the nuggets. I was trying to swipe it away, but it took me
pulled it down. Same comments. It's so tight.
Yeah, I like the idea. It just didn't execute the way it sounds like he meant it to. I don't know.
Yeah,
or maybe this is the first time he's hearing it, and it's just because we're way out of shape and we're a bunch of out of surf dads. So we're not his ideal customer. I don't know. So that was one piece. The second one was, and they told me this up front, but there's no key ring. And there's no key ring, there's no key pocket. Apparently, if you wear the DR1, you shouldn't be driving a car because there's nowhere to put your key except maybe in your leash or hide it, somewhere under your car, which I'm not a fan of either. That was frustrating. So every time I went surfing with you guys, I'd always have to give my key to you, which meant that I had to wait for you to get out of the water, which was frustrating. So they told me that up front, and I thought it wouldn't be a big deal, but it was a big deal.
Seems almost unfair to ding them on something that they told you up front about, but all is fair. This is just a small review channel. I'm sure they won't see it.
Well, the next question is, how was warmth?
I'll keep going. I got a 3 millimeter suit that had a 3 out of 5 performance rating and a 3 out of 5 warmth rating. So again, thinking that it was a little bit warmer than a 3.2. In theory, it should be, but a little less warm than a 4.3. And it felt like just about the same. And if I'm going to have the same amount of warmth as a 3.2, I'd probably rather surf in a 3.2 because there's less rubber and you're more flexible. So it wasn't cold, but I just didn't see the benefit of having a 3 millimeter all around. And maybe my expectations were too high because I was super stoked for it. I've been looking for a 3 mil, an all around 3 mil for so long, and I finally found that, and it was on sale. I was really excited, and then when I wore it, it's still a good suit. It's just it didn't live up to my expectations, and maybe that was unfair and unrealistic on my part, but that's life.
That's life. Well,
Dan, what do you think?
I will go 3.5 out of 5 for warmth. I think it comes down to what you were saying, Andrew, with that stitching and how it's so tight for getting in. What ends up happening is once I'm finally in it and I hit the water, there's almost like an air pocket in the chest to neck, shoulder area. And you can kind of release it and whatnot, but there's just like a little extra, it's just like a weird contour. And what ends up happening is it causes the neck to leak a little bit, which I think Steven also had issues with. And so the neck itself felt good. And it was also really high, which I like because then I can put a hood on top of it and the hood will be watertight. If suits have necks that are lower, you put a detachable hood on it, sometimes you'll have flushing happening. So, but because of the weird contour, or maybe it's just my body, but when I would duck dive, water would seep in, and
that's the worst.
It's like, man, it's a 4.3. Like, thankfully, the times I've worn it, like the water hasn't been that cold, but brand new suit, there should not be a drip of water coming down my back at all, and there was a little bit, and I'm a little bummed about that. So.
Yeah, I'm going 4. I think it's a warm suit. I mean, it's thick enough, I mean, like what you lose in flexibility, you kind of gain in warmth. I really have to be mindful about keeping my neck in a certain position so that I don't get water down it. That's my biggest gripe. But it's a warm suit. It's not in my JOB camo suit. It doesn't have any of that furry, like the furry, fuzzy chest panels, which is fine because it's warm. But I feel like I've been in warmer suits at the same time. So definitely it gets the job done, but it still seems like there's room for like this. It could be pushed a little higher in terms of its warmth.
What would you guys give your Buell wetsuit for a value rating?
The value's unbeatable. Like, we were doing the Excel comp suits and they were like in the 180 range. The suit that Dan and I got was their top of the line suit. It retails for $320, but we ended up getting it for $160. It was 50% off. If you're under $200 for a suit that keeps you warm in 50-degree water, I have a hard time complaining about that. So I'm going to go full 5.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. Also go 5. We have a strong line of frugalness in our family. So like we really appreciate a good deal. And that is what Buell is. They have some pretty good suits for awesome prices. If someone is like surfing, once or twice a week, this is a great suit for them. Like they're probably not going to get cold. It's going to be flexible enough. I love supporting like a smaller brand also. So 5 out of 5.
I'll go 4.5 out of 5 for value. It would be nice if they had like a true premium suit, because they're top of the line. The performance and the warmth could be a little bit better on both of those. Obviously the price would go up, but I'd rather pay a little bit more money to get more flexible or more warmth. But that being said, for what the suit is, it's a decent suit and for a very good price. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5.
If you are looking for a suit under $200, Buell is your go-to. It may not be the best suit or the nicest suit that you've ever owned, but it will certainly keep you warm in any season that you surf in. Any questions, leave them below. Andrew will most likely answer them. Daniel and I may tag team in there. Otherwise, we will see you out in the water.